For interrupting that previous speaker. I must admit it is refreshing to have the opportunity to partake in a debate which has bipartisan support, and at the end of a process that was very bipartisan in nature. Members of the committee enjoyed interacting with those submitters who educated us, who debated with us and had a full discussion with us all in respect of that, the unit titles bill. And the purpose of the bill then is to clarify the title and survey processes, improving governance structures for unit title developments, including the rights and responsibilities of unit owners and the powers and duties of body corporate, establishing a flexible and responsive management and maintenance regime for unit title developments, and improving the information disclosure regime for prospective and actual unit owners, and establishing dispute resolution mechanism within existing setups. And the point that the previous speaker did make that no one can disagree with is that when the empowering legislation first came about for unit title type premises, the popularity was never envisaged, and the scale in which it took off was never envisaged, and so really it was made for small numbers, maybe under 10 units on a single title of land, and how they might operate. And as the visions for huge apartment blocks and other great big developments came about, what happened was that the tenants were and the owners were frequently really at the whim of the developers, and then later on at those people who were running, or in some cases manipulating, the body corporates. Money wasn't set aside for routine maintenance, for instance, and so every now and then there was a big lump sum required. Savings in some of the elderly owners had dribbled down, and there wasn't the ability for them to be able to contribute to how they needed to, put them under pressure, put all the owners under pressure. And so a number of these issues were raised with us, and the committee has responded to them. There were issues around long-term maintenance regimes. The issue was raised about the cost of having to provide a fund rather than just plan for it, and so the committee recommended a change that there be an amendment that would allow bodies corporate to opt out of establishing a long-term maintenance fund but retain the requirement for a mandatory long-term maintenance plan. There were problems around audit and monitoring of corporate funds, and changes were made in respect of them, and there were a number of various changes that were raised by submitters that were addressed by the committee, and recommendations made that changes occur within the bill to make it more palatable for those who are having to live within these circumstances, and to give owners and those who come in early into a large-scale development or a stage development, for instance, some certainty around where that was going to go, and that their interest would be protected into the future. As I say, it was a process that was good to be part of. The work that was initially kicked off by the previous Labor government, completed under the National Party government, and debated well by all members of the committee. And we appreciate the well-thought and prepared submissions that came before the committee for those that engage with the committee, and I'm sure that the piece of legislation we have will be enduring. So I thank those members of the committee for the interaction they had, the engagement we had with one another, and the piece of work we ended up with. I commend it to the House.